Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast. I am still your host, Alex, otherwise known as Lexi by Mars Swan on the internet, and I am joined by, wow, that's not what I was expected to be joined by. I am joined by the devoted and valuable duo that is the Hapgood brothers of Initialize and Nymera. As I say always, please introduce yourselves.
Resident Sleeper is over. The games are heating up. We're out of the pajama cast. Morning has broken, and it has for V3 as well. They waited for dawn on the fourth game, and they third game rather is actually what it would be, and they've come out with at least one win in this series so far.
Yeah, rip Resident Sleeper. Hood Champ is the way forward.
Yeah.
We need a new remote for that. So yeah. And V3 also awake in this series, alive and kicking. They came back in game 3 with a very different draft. Still banning away stuff like the Renekton, Paz thriving in the top lane, and also Ace picking up a Syndra and having much larger impacts in the game, as we were talking in the pregame.
Yeah, these two teams, they've been having a lot of... These drafts just haven't been like back to back to back kind of doing the same thing. They've been trying things out differently. Why is that?
Well, V3, obviously, it's very obvious from V3 that they needed to change something, so maybe it's one of those things where they have their playbook and they're realizing, okay, whatever we prepared for this, like, the first 2 drafts, that is not working right now, so we don't want to go towards, like, the AP junglers and the Jace mid. We want to try something which gives Ace a bit more CC, maybe, a bit more reliable CC in the form of the Rek'Sai as well, because actually, if you look at, like, Jace Nidalee, Jace Echo, a lot of that CC, very hard to land. This time, I think they played around the skirmishes very well with their champions.
I think also they played around Silas being a little bit more weak early as well. He needs a little bit of CDR and some AP under his belt. No pun intended for the proto build. To really be impacting a lot of the fights that he wants to be in.
That's 2. You get 2. You get 3 maybe.
There's quite a few. I can't help it, man.
So if you're on the side of CGA, like what do you actually expect to be doing? Like where do you go from now as now a hole has been found that you thought was plugged?
You got to get Yoshi settled again. Yoshi ended up kind of not playing around the map movements of V3 particularly well in the early game. He did get caught out for first blood, as we were talking about in the post game. I think that if Yoshi kind of settles down and not necessarily when we talk about Yoshi in these games, often it is because like he's getting in this last time he was because he was getting caught.
It's Yoshi, is what you're saying at the end of the day.
I think in this game, I think it's not just Yoshi. You need to play around and shield him, but it is him.
That's kind of what I wanted to get onto. Is actually what I want from CGAs. They need to be a bit crisper. We saw the idea. Yoshi was clearing out a ward, and Gango and Grendel were rotating up, so it would have been a 3-man unit. They were 3 or 4 seconds late. And that meant there was no dark passage, and Ace and Boogie got the kill.
So is that Yoshi's fault, or is that more of a communication thing potentially?
Communication for me, I think. I think it's a bit of both. They just need to be a little. It's a touch of laziness and it's a touch of overconfidence, and they just need to be a bit crisper.
Okay, so do you think they're both doing pick and ban phase pretty effectively?
I think that Aria's Silas has worked out very well before. I'm not sure I like the gangplank.
No.
I think it took a little too.
I want to know exactly pick and ban phase. Are the teams drafting good or are they drafting badly?
This last one, I think V3 have drafted well. I think they drafted more reliability. I think that on the other side, CGA, when they're trying to fight early, maybe Gangplank isn't the champion for you. Maybe you want to go.
You want to get late game with that, right?
Yeah,
it's a little bit too much late game.
Like at least an item on those champions so you can team fight Cannon Barrage, Glacial Prison, Arya stealing all those sorts. You can see the idea. It's a good combination. They tried to pull the trigger a bit early and they were sometimes a touch disjointed, and I don't think they played defensively that well.
It's going to be interesting going into this game. Obviously, CGA had the momentum as they had, played more games than V3, and V3 obviously now their streak is long and gone. They're having to rebuild now. 1-0 for the streak so far. Obviously, though, CGA are coming from a very different place. I mean, what would you be thinking as a player currently on the side of V3 right now? Like, I think you down on your luck.
You ride the momentum. Reverse sweeps are a well-known phenomenon in League of Legends. You can do it. You have a lot of talent. You came into this as favorites from us. Stick the landing.
Look, it's basically that. It's not. There is a psychology to best of fives, and the most dangerous game is when you are 2-0 up and you lose the third. So many teams have crumbled onto the pressure because if you do lose that game, that horrifying question that starts niggling at your mind, what
As a TSM
starts
fan,
getting in.
I am way too familiar with this feeling.
At least you're not
Way
CLG.
too familiar.
At least
Yeah.
you're not CLG.
True! Big true. We at least were dominating them in the first few seasons, and then later season we've now become that meme boss. So it's felt a bit bad. Are we expecting any particular champions to be coming out now for these particular teams or these particular players?
I think bans might have to be shifted around. I wonder if, particularly in the second round, I think that Grendel wants to be on more of a peel support. He
We're
played
going into
very
pick and
well
ban
on those.
phase, so I guess we're going to just find
Well, we're
out
gonna go
straight
see.
away.
Yeah, that
Well,
Good
thank
luck
you very
to both
much.
these teams.
Yeah, thank you very much once again, Lexi. Got to have a little bit more time with you this time. Back into game 4.
Yeah, and it is going to be a question. We're looking for peel support, is the idea. Pinch for Grendel. That Braum, that Tom Kench were banned away in the last one. Some bans coming through. It is LeBlanc and the Jarvan from V3. They're pretty happy with those bans. And I can understand that Aria's LeBlanc is not quite Faker level, but certainly a terrifying threat.
All right, okay.
And there's a
so
Lee Sin and a Rek'Sai
I was
ban
gonna
away
say,
from Boogie.
maybe the
AD junglers off the table right now.
reliability of the Rex side, just a little bit of a worry for CGA. Maybe they think that was the key to the V3 puzzle. I can understand that. I can understand that.
Tom
V3.
Kench first pick.
There's also Senna actually available, Touch 10.5. They could end up picking that.
Gango's a good center.
They can pick up either, so they can pick up the Ezreal, they can pick up the Varus, they can pick up the Senna in this next phase. If CGA want to pick away the Senna, they will have to pick something else alongside it apart from the Tahm Kench. So this is not showing their hand just yet, V3, but it's not going to be the same CC bot lane that they had last time with the Aphelios and Thresh.
At least not yet. Varus locked in, and we're well aware of how flexible that is over here in the LJL. See whether you're all right with the return of the Senna for V3, but there's one last pick for CGA to pick up. Maybe they go for an early jungler, thinking about the Trundle early on. I suppose there's already a Tahm Kench to deal some resistances from.
And I think if yeah, Trundle's come through now. I think Senna raises up in value a little bit there. Okay, obviously not great versus the pillar, but if having the W route is normally really good against the Trundle, keeping him in place, so we can't run around with the increased movement speed on his frozen domain and all this other stuff. We'll see if they are going to lock it in. It has to be now. It will be banned away. If not, they're hovering it, so they're certainly thinking it. But what other power picks they want? I would actually suggest maybe something like a Syndra as well this round,
Just
unless
get
they
it while
have.
they can,
I think the
yeah.
Syndra was really working well for them. I think that's what they'd like to get them towards. Either that or the Aatrox. It depends who they think really has the most important champion pool to really dive into if they don't want to go towards those picks right now.
That is the question. Aatrox, Syndra, two options. Thinking about a Misfortune would be an unusual choice, but the
Aatrox, yep,
Aatrox
that's fine.
locked in.
Paz very, very comfortable on that champion. So now, it depends if Nap wants to get a good matchup into the Aatrox. I don't know whether he has anything besides the Gangplank. Okay, right, so this is going to be a double poke bot lane in the Varus Yuumi.
We're assuming this Varus is going bot.
Oh,
currently
true,
as
yeah,
well,
true.
So
If
there
that-
is
if
still
that-
that flexibility.
Sure, it could also be something like the Varus, the Ezreal bottom as well. Yeah, I probably shouldn't call out the Varus. There are plenty of opportunities to keep that moving around. The Echo's banned away from Boogie, even though that didn't work out in game 2.
We know he's still very good at that.
We know he's still very
champion.
good at it. So CGA, obviously, this is game 4, have chosen red side because, you know, they're a very good red side team, you know, absolutely great record. No, okay,
Yeah.
So they came into the series only playing 3 games on the red side, all split long. They lost all 3 of those games.
They did. They've
Not
done
far away.
two. They've basically nearly doubled that win score thus far this
No,
series.
they've infinitely improved it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't play, they hadn't won a single game on red side.
Fair. Actually, no.
It's infinitely improved it.
It's just the number of games played. You're absolutely right. Azir taken away from Maria. Consistent damage makes a lot of sense. With a Yuumi as well, you can do pretty dumb things in terms of just adding onto the AP scaling
Caston
of
as well.
champions.
Okay, so they banned this in
Caston.
game 1 as well, actually.
And we know what Arya does if he gets a free matchup in mid. They're thinking of going back to the Maokai, and I really love this pick.
Okay, alright. So now V3 need to pick up some pretty huge AP threats as well, because if you have mono damage into a Maokai, he does become unkillable.
There's
Syndra's
the
locked in,
Syndra.
wasn't banned away by CGA, instead going for the Echo and the Nocturne, as we were saying. I wonder whether that Nocturne should have been a Syndra ban. I wonder if that is an oversight, because the Echo had already been banned away, and normally the Nocturne
There
goes
still been a
alongside...
lease available, and we've seen Boogie run
True.
with a Nocturne before,
Yeah.
and it's locked in, so... Or
It's
thinking
not-
about it,
they're
not
thinking about
locked
it.
in yet,
There's also,
hovers.
something like the Gragas as well, if
Yeah,
you want to
it's
go
good
for
for that.
another kind of AP jungler. The Elise is locked in, though.
Boogie's great Elise.
Right, okay, so there is a chance you can run over this top lane with the Elise and the Aatrox, but Maokai is a good weak
Oh, we've
side
got
champion.
Fearless is locked in.
Aphelios locked in, so that means there's going to be a Aphelios Yumi in the bot lane and Varus in the mid lane. Obviously, calling out that flex pick earlier, I was a little too quick to jump to my guns there for the Varus Yumi poke lane. Aphelios has some ways to really bully out the Senna. You know, you are a very lane-dominant champion, but Senna, if she does end up scaling up, can be very, very strong in these team fights. And as I was saying, throwing out that last embrace can be kind of comboed into a cocoon, comboed into a scatter the weak. Boogie is the best team fighting Elise in the LJL. He has pulled off some miracle team fights on this champion with Repel, with his stopwatch and Zhonya's, and also his flash summoner spell as well. He is a pleasure to watch on this champion, so we'll see if he's on form today.
I have also got to ask, who cuts through a 3-item Maokai on that team? Senna is notoriously not good into tanks. And that lower attack speed can be a difficulty when you're trying to tank through someone who's got so much healing.
But the thing is, though, like, so if you look at what does a perfect team fight look for CGA rather? They probably want to land piercing arrows onto the Senna, onto the Elise, onto the Syndra. If you land enough of those, then yeah, okay, the fight goes on long enough, then you can start really hard engaging. But like, they don't have the best diving champions. They're going to be going forward trying to look for chains of corruption, looking for pillars and stuff like that. The Tahm Kench buys a lot of time, and if you don't catch the Senna and the Syndra in the initial engage, one of them might be able to peel for the other with their CC and their ultimates.
Yeah, and we saw only yesterday versus DFM, Syndra and Elise get absolutely shafted by long-range poke from a Varus and another bit of poke on the button, that was paired with a Victor in fact, but there is a Yumi on that side who can kind of double up as another poke threat and an AP poke threat as well. So you can't itemize as well as you'd like either.
I think that if Aatrox gets ahead in this game, gets himself up to like an early 2-3 item kind of lead and gets to dive the backline and buy a lot of time, that's when CGA need to be really kind of worried, because if Aatrox can buy time and make sure that the Varus and the fellows can't stand and fire, then V3 have better consistent damage with the Senna and the Syndra, particularly when you're looking at them, their ability to pin someone in place with their dual CC.
Check the early level ones. Are we going to get anything particularly spicy this time around? Boogie's in a bush, but that's about it. He's going to back away as a hail of arrows did come down, and that will be a swift recall, you're assuming, for the sweeper swap that is so common for the junglers. And speaking of sweepers and vision, we are, of course, back with another poke comp from CGA to a certain extent. And that means we're going to want to keep an eye on those vision areas of control, because if Arya and Grendel are firing out of the darkness into V3, they could end up in trouble.
Sure, okay,
if
so
V3 get that.
Paz walks into Napla, takes the Bramble Smash for his troubles. The thing about this composition compared to DFM's comp, where it got a little bit outpoked by the Varus in yesterday's series, is that there is a Senna for that extra bit of healing. It's not the most healing ever, but it can help mitigate some of that. And of course, there's a Guardian Tahm Kench, which means that if you're stood by, the Catfish can stop some of that damage coming through. It's actually an immediate pause coming through, so it might have a little bit of an issue on stage. As is tradition, for the first time today, we do normally invite Mass1 to come back and talk about the game so far, which we haven't had much about. Very different drafts again. Varus makes another appearance. Have you got any particular thoughts on this so far, Lexi?
That's a noise of uncertainty.
No, basically. I really don't. I don't think either of these teams drafted beautifully, personally.
Yeah, I think both of them tried to pivot around and try and answer each other. We've ended up somewhere between halfway houses for both teams.
Yeah, this feels like we could be casting a gold or silver elo game right now with the draft level that came through. Personally, this is it's a weird spot we found ourselves in. I really
this
don't.
is what best of fives do to you, man.
True.
Sometimes
That is true.
Mind games and mind games end up being out mind gaming yourself, and like we saw that a little bit, right? The use of the flex picks half worked, but the problem with half of working is not working at all. So we'll see how it works out with this one for sure.
Yeah, it does seem to be an interesting one. I mean, if I had to give it to anyone, I'd give a slight favor to V3, but we're talking like 55-45 here. Like. Yeah. It's that kind of 5-10% edge where I'm not going to say it's 50-50 because I never want true coin flips, but Christ. Oh god,
Well,
it really does. I think it depends a lot on the early game, maybe.
I think for me, it could literally be team fights decided off of one stray skill shot in the lead
Yeah.
up to it. Because if most
we're
of the
back in.
time when you've got a poke comp and CC, the team fight is actually decided just in the build up. Who actually gets set up without getting poked out first? Does someone get CC landed on them, which means that they take a big burst trade? There's cleanse on both the mid laners. There is a Tom Kench available for the side of V3. But if you're caught in rotation and a Scout of the Week or a Last Embrace lands, there could be a lot of damage which determines the team fight.
Yeah, and of course, we are back into game. It's a pleasure speaking to you, Mass1, and we'll see how these games play out. I've got a little bit of faith in Arya on this. Varus, I think he
did
been
a lot of damage.
really good stuff on that first game.
His game 2 was crazy.
But Boogie's back on Elise, and while to LS he may be a sinner, that's maybe what you need to take down the Church of Arya right now. And we'll see how he does, because
Yoshi's got an early gank in the bot
he
lane.
does. He's going to come around right behind him. We talked about how Senna sucks versus this pillar. So does Tom Kench, and Yoshi's here. He's not even used the pillar right now. Boogie is coming down. He is using that spider to scuff his way
that's
in.
a lot of damage.
And that's a lot of damage, and that cocoon lands on a minion. Unfortunate pathing. He's got repel. He's thinking about going up. He's onto Yoshi. Volatile. Not volatile. Venomous bite comes down and doesn't quite get a kill, but forces a flash out of Yoshi. But it is flash heal from Archer and Reyna.
Okay, so the jungle pathing mind game's coming out pretty large here. Yoshi once again on the trundle trying to go for an early pressure play. Boogie gets the counter gank. That's another last embrace
They're going to
landed.
continue getting on, but Yumi is there with Azumi's for some heal. Stands out in the way to throw some poke back, but that gotta hurt for Gango, who's in a really tricky position with where this wave is.
So I think if you go back to week 6, I believe it was, Archer and Reyna played 2 games of this exact bottom lane, and they crushed on it. The only reason that they didn't get player of the week, Boogie is back. There's an award here as well. There is a flash available for the Aphelios, and there's a minion wave to block out any potential cocoons.
Didn't come in, and maybe you can finish your point now. Week 6.
Week 6, yeah. So basically, the only reason they didn't get players of the week then is because another bot lane played the exact same picks and also crushed, and that was Yutora Miyashi and NC, who played arguably even better in that day. Arya is now the next target here.
So much damage in this lane, though.
He has been indeed down to only 200 HP. He does have a biscuit there, but his corrupting pots had all been used. It's a cannon wave being shoved into tower as well. Arya finding the early advantage in this matchup. Ace actually sticking around, popping the potion.
He's got mana available, and I think he just didn't want to have that wave shoved in and then have to back an awkward time, losing so much of his minions. We'll pick up actually a little bit of a CS lead, assuming he farms well here.
Yeah, he's not going to get that last one, but oh, he does. I know.
No, I had hopes.
I have to say, like, it's like playing rhythm games doing CSing, because like you're just doing everything off of muscle memory. Like, I can probably get that. You don't actually necessarily know.
I can probably get
that. Like, that feels like a CS I can get.
Feels like it's like one of those things where it's like you've actually got to change where you're standing relative to a minion, so you're at the time, especially for a range.
If you have a projectile auto attack, if you stand
too far away, it doesn't travel fast enough.
Yeah, so yeah, and obviously you do have like an attack timing where you can kind of move about and cancel some of it, so you can move around while you're CSing. Yoshi is back in the bot lane. There's a flash available for the not Tom Kench, for the Senna, but there is now a Devour available. Was not leveled up at level 2 actually. The thick skin very timely leveled up from Reyna in that early gank.
Remember, you're watching the Aphelios versus the Tom Kench for CS, and that means actually about double the CS right now on that Tom Kench, because Gango and Grendel were zoned so effectively from that wave post that return gank.
And that could be pretty large in this game, because you are going to have another frontliner to cut through. Tom Kench is not someone that you can particularly poke out with a Varus. He's not going to be the person dealing out the damage as well, don't get me wrong, but maybe the Aphelios with the Conqueror can end up cutting through that, but Reyna will be a tough hide to get your teeth stuck into.
But CGA start up with a win condition themselves, begin with an early Mountain Drake this game. Those resists certainly going to come in handy for people like Trundle and Maokai. Arya takes a fair amount of damage from an unleashed power because Ace hit that level up first. Gango getting ganked in here. We're going to see Boogie does miss the cocoon, but that's a big lasting grace. Grendel will go down for his sins, but
Yoshi's here.
Yoshi is here. Boogie's very low. Pillars in place. He's gone up, has that spider, but he comes straight back down on the minion that was in a particularly convenient place.
So Grendel gives his life for the Aphelios there, does die for first blood in game 4. It is still match point. There's a flash cocoon which misses.
And Boogie's now potentially in trouble. That last embrace also misses. Gonna get rooted back down by the graviton. Boogie definitely feeling a little bit antsy there.
Antsy, no, maybe more spidery.
Yeah, that's it.
Spidery. Okay, anyway, in game 4, it is still Game 4 match point for CJ. We can see some of the tentative players coming out of V3. The junglers trying to get involved nice and early. We talked about Elise being one of those infamous sinner picks where you do need to achieve so much on the champion before you start falling off. At least Boogie is one of the better team fighting Elises. Like we've said, he's done some miracle plays on there. But 2 cocoons in a row missed, which may have led to kills on flashless targets as well.
I know, there is still a barrier on Gango, and I'm beginning to think that was a really sensible pick with how much pressure has been put down that lane already.
True, there's actually 3 defensive summoners available, an exhaust and a heal on Grendel, and then the barrier on Gango might end up becoming very, very relevant as these team fights go on. My problem is there's a lot of damage that can come through, which that exhaust is not going to reach. Long range from Archer, long range from Ace as well, might help in the nitty-gritty when the melee starts to really form. But we'll see how it works out in team fights. Something to keep an eye on, at least.
Yeah, and of course, Maokai with a twisted advance with a Yuumi on top with the last chapter sounds like a great amount of CC to keep someone completely locked down forever.
And that's why we see Paz immediately picking up the Executioner's Calling, which is important. Does mean that if he is getting into the thick of things in that melee, getting those Darkened Blades kind of throwing across. Last Embrace just missing there. This bot lane going well for V3 so far. But effectively going back to my point, if Paz, like I was saying in the pregame into draft, if this Aatrox gets ahead, gets to that point where he can be that disruptive backline diver, that Grievous Wounds will be even more useful.
And we're watching the on-the-way pings to the Rift Herald, which was just summoned. V3 certainly prepared to begin a little bit of conflict around that.
Ow.
Decent poke onto Ace, but he's got Corrupting Pots, and we'll heal that back up. But he's got a Senna here as well.
Yeah, he's got biscuits. He's got like a whole menagerie of healing stuff, and they have found their way to the Herald very early. They don't have a level 6 from Archer. That is something to be aware of. They don't have a level 6 from Reyna either, although the Abyssal Voyage is not as important at this point in time.
Let's see what they can do. Nap's thrown down. That ultimate. Here comes those boughs of Holly one more time. Archer not going to be rooted up, but incoming Aria. Yoshi takes a lot of damage. He's got the subjugate down, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough. No, he gets away with a flash. That's fine. Nap takes a big trade against him by Paz. And I believe that will be Rift Herald secured by Boogie.
It will do. Boogie does pick that up. There was the ultimate committed from Maokai, maybe looking for a side flank there, but Paz very quickly intercepts one of the routes so the rest of his team further down the river weren't at prey to being locked up by the Maokai ultimate. They get a lot of damage onto Yoshi, forcing out the flash, which means that next time that one of these trades kind of happens, maybe Yoshi won't have such an easy path out of the fight.
Absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to watch. We saw the attempted contest from CGA. We saw the Maokai ultimate thrown down the river. Christmas cheer at the wrong time of year. But either way, didn't really work out. And the turnaround onto Yoshi, he was trying to be a frontline, was pretty massive.
I'm trying to remember. Is Maokai's ultimate Nature's Grasp?
It is... Oh man, I'm not
Nature's
actually
Grasp.
sure. It used to be Vengeful Maelstrom.
Yeah, but that was way back in the day. I remember the season 4 Hyper Tank Maokai.
I'm trying to remember. It is Nature's Grasp. It is what it is. I actually want to go check that out because I had Vengeful Maelstrom in my head. I'm thinking that's a long time ago.
Yeah, we do like to time travel every now and again on the LJL Unofficial. But we are live today, not a blast from the past, but one in the present. And we want to stay here with our current Maokai ultimate. We have level 6s coming across the board from all the members on the map right now. Well, on this V3 side of things, level 5 only hit from... And speaking of it, the Abyssal Voyage coming in.
Gango's here. He's going to get out. The Sentinel turret came down. I think that was probably kind of key. Nice attempt, but he's working with the last Embrace lands. They're under the tower. Infernum is there, but nothing more. I thought if Boogie had been there with the Cocoon, they maybe could have got better.
Oh, like 3 autos extra there because of the timely Q from Calibrum landing. Yoshi's here. He has no flash, remember?
Oh, he's going to get stunned. He's got that massive blast.
I
think he just goes down. No, survived so far. He's got a pillar. Oh! Burn from Boogie is enough.
And also, actually, the center ult not actually registering there. Jungler dies before the Infernal Drake spawns. We talked about last game, Yoshi got caught a lot of the time before these important objectives. That might be a team thing, a communication thing, but he's the one that's suffering for it. Boogie picks up the second dragon of the game. Once again, CJ will not pick up 2 early dragons. It will be 1 apiece, and the Infernal is always a nice feather in the cap of a team that picks it up. Although it's not as much as it was in previous seasons, it's still extra damage.
Exactly, and it will be an Ocean Rift. That soul is so good. So that will be a major point of contention in this game. I will guarantee it right now. Gango and Grendel under threat under this tower.
Oh,
Another
that's
last
the
embrace
Bryce
lands. They're going to get jumped on. There is no
Infernal.
healing. Boogie slays the Aphelis, but that's a decent last embrace. Reyna has to go golden, but there's a lot of damage coming down on these players. CGA's Aria is here alongside Yoshi.
Stuck in the
Ace is in
wall.
trouble. He got stuck in the wall. These pillars from Yoshi have been great across the times he's played that champion and does force people away from the tower. Well, 3 kills out to V3 early. They got the Drake. That play went pretty well. They did get a kill onto Gango, but had to burn quite a lot to pull it off.
I mean, like, you were talking about the mental effects of a best of 5 and losing game 3, going 2 up and then losing the 3rd. It just kind of just that little earwig in the back of your head just saying that, you know, like, maybe the mental effect of this might be taking an effect onto some of these players when these mechanical moments come across in these skirmishes.
Indeed. Paz up to a decent CS lead here versus this Maokai. At least early on, got about a 15-odd CS lead. Might well be evened up as Nap cleans up this wave to an extent, but it'll still be something like that 15 CS lead I called out earlier. Similar lead for Aru in the mid lane, though, who's doing very well on this poke champion. Has managed to use that range advantage to get onto the Syndra, even if we did see that initial level 6 advantage from Ace tried to be used aggressively onto the Varus. Thus far, Aru is doing pretty well to keep the game at least a decent point of parity there, but V3 up to about a 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
All said and
My worry is that Arya is not really going to be safe in a lot of these team fights. I am worried that Boogie and Paz can solo out any one member of CGA given enough time. Maybe not Nap. I think Yoshi dies. I think that Ace and Yoshi soloing out Yoshi earlier in, particularly with the help of a center ultimate. This backline of CGA needs to be feeling very wary about these team fights. Boogie being able to team fight on this Elise, we have talked about that multiple times now. He's actually just waiting for Ace to come over and is taking his sweet time trying to take this blue buff over here. The blue buff handover will come through. That will
uses
help
the spider legs to continue to tank. Well done.
And actually, that will help Ace keep clearing this wave against the Varus, clear from a bit longer range, maybe not get hit by so many arrows instead of committing to those auto attacks.
And 100% kill participation for Boogie on this Elise at 2-0
Oh yeah,
and 1.
that's exactly why I'm worried, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's some good stuff from him early.
Aatrox, we know what happens when he hits like 2-3 items. Elise needs a lead, and Boogie has that lead. Has the jungle item, has the early penetration boots as well, and there's no MR built up from Arya besides what was in his runes.
That's for sure. Boogie hanging around the mid lane again, trying to see if he can catch up this Varus, who can farm from such a long way away and is currently doing that as best he can. He's got the cleanse as well, so even if the cocoon landed, it would take a little bit more than that to lock him down.
This
for
could be a
any
potential
extended
dive on
period of
top
time.
side, actually. Yoshi's not there. This would be a 3v1 if they went for it, but the sapling will spot Boogie out.
Yeah, and that is a joy of a Maokai. Can do that to check up on people coming up here. Still thinking about doing this. Arya has ghostbladed his way down to the bot lane to see if he can catch someone out
Well, what
there.
that means is that Herald positioning goes the way of V3. They'll probably be able to pick that up. The Ocean Dragon will not be up in time for an objective trade, but they will at least get vision for it should it come to that. Yoshi and Arya now hanging out in the mid lane, although Ace with the positioning towards the top side of the river where he knows his team is means that Yoshi finds no gaps to exploit there.
Rift Herald will be started one more time by V3. Not going to see a contest, I don't think. Yoshi's just going to take his time to wander
Could see a
into the
fight
red side
bot lane.
jungle.
That's the one thing, but I think they're safe for now. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's just gonna be a Herald in the grand scheme of things. So CJ not wanting to fight around that with disadvantageous positioning.
Where do you expect that Herald to go? I think my thoughts probably mid lane to try and put that Varus under pressure.
It depends if you can take out. You need to take out the whole turret. Plating is now gone, so it's not about the immediate gold gain. If you can get it in mid lane, that is the gold standard. But if you can dive the Maokai, make sure that there's now a long lane to play around with Paz, so he can get some priority and then fire off into these team fights from and use this priority in the side lanes. It would be very useful. Oh, they're actually just going to dive straight onto
He
him.
takes a lot of damage. He's got healing though, trying his best. There's the ultimate. Paz has to flash away from the turret. I think if those grasping roots had landed from the Nature's Embrace, would have been a go. If he managed to land that Nature's Embrace, I think Paz would have died there. But he does just walk up and die.
What's he doing? He's staring at me menacingly, and then he throws out a cocoon. All the damage comes in. They don't even need to use the Herald on the top lane. This is a big swing in pressure for V3 once again in this series. We saw it in the last game. Now they have normally when you have this Herald, you expect the tower to go down. You don't expect it to go down without the Herald being used.
Yeah.
Oh, Abyssal Void giving it on to Arya.
Arya has got the Ghost Blade. He's going to try and get away. That was not the best tongue lash. So he does get out without having to burn anything.
Had the Ghost Blade active.
Two
And what
towers
these-
down, actually, because the bot lane tower went down as well.
Yeah, they managed to use that pressure there. A lot of CS onto this Tom Kench rather against the Aphelios, managing to abuse that lane somewhat. We were calling out Archer earlier in the series and saying he didn't look comfortable. They weren't winning lane. This is now settling into the game. They didn't. I was wondering whether they were going to use the Herald here to try and buy some pressure and priority over this dragon. They didn't even need to do that either. There, everything is coming up V3 at this point in the game. Very comfortable point right now.
We're gonna group up in mid.
Okay,
There's
this
the
is
two
huge.
outer towers down. Arya's here, but he's here alone for now. Has got a fair amount of this wave gone. They're gonna throw this Herald down, and there are people that are gonna try and stop this from going all
Chance
the way
corruption
down.
dodged away
Chance
from.
corruption did have to be dodged though, and that is gonna force Boogie away. The tower stands.
It does
For now,
stand.
decent stun, but there's a heal. Yoshi is doing pretty well about just surviving that. Ace takes a big trade in response as well. And Maokai's off to the side. That ultimate is back up. Would be finding a good flank if they decide to keep there.
And you know what? The more I think about this composition, the better the GLP is for Ace here. Because how do you get on top of CJ? What's your follow-up? You're looking at Maokai, you're looking at Yoshi. If the GLP lands onto those two melee champions, then they're going to be much easier to hit with the Scout of the Week and the Last Embrace and get that first kill on the front line. They're already ahead in this game. The front line of CJ are probably going to be at risk in these team fights too.
Yeah. Athene's completed for this Yumi, so the healing is very much there. It's an item and a half on for Arya, so he's got a lot of poke available
But there's
to
two
him.
executioners.
But
There's an executioner on Archer too.
Right, but the other thing is we talked about the vision earlier, and this map is littered up with blue wards. This poke won't be landing as well as they would like because they don't have map control.
It's also worth noting 67 souls for Archer has that third range increment increase on the center as well, farming up very well. We expect 80 to 100 souls, more like in the mid 20 minutes. He's actually going to get up to 70 from that mini wave there, and
the
they
tower goes
still
down.
get the tower too. All three outer turrets down now for CGA with none taken on the other side of the map. Priority in pushing lanes, the full court press for V3 working out very well at 18 minutes in so far.
Massive gold lead for Paz as well, who got that
Yes.
first tower up in the
Wait,
top.
wait,
Well, one of the towers on
Maokai,
the top side.
Maokai, famously an economy champion. He can be this low economy kind of a scaling tank, just get up all those defensive items and still be very useful regardless of the amount of gold that he has, because just his kit is so useful regardless of what state he's in. But Aatrox likes having a gold lead. You know, he really much likes that. He's level 13 compared to level 12. He has the level advantage as well.
That is a big deal. Ocean Drake will be spawning not anytime soon. We're looking probably at a couple minutes yet on that, but I imagine will be the next major point of conflict in this game. And CGA are going to need to set up a little better if they want to even think about contesting, because that Vision game
72
is a big deal right now, and 72 stacks is a big deal right now.
And going on about the Vision game, right? There's an Umbral Glaive to be used by Archer. Does have the support item as well, meaning that you know, there will be you only take one support item. It's not like the double support items of like the Sona Tom Kench of years of seasons past. It was used a little bit earlier in this season, but if you played that, then
that's a pretty nasty bit of poke. But the heal is also not bad for Archer.
yeah. And well, this is why I thought that initially after the center had been locked in, it would probably be a Varus bot, because actually Varus is pretty good into the center as the poke build in the bot lane. They went for the Aphelios instead, which hasn't worked out as cleanly. Still has 150 CS at this point in the game, has a 20 CS lead on the Tom Kench, but honestly, it's not at parity really.
No, not yet. And Aphelios doesn't have his first item yet either. And that means with this Ocean Drake that's coming up in a minute and 40, he's going to have to hope he's got that at least if they want to contest.
Oh, that hurts so much. There is a honey fruit there for Archer, though. Be able to heal himself up with his piercing shadow and.
Do we want to see an Executioner's calling in from Arya before this next fight?
I don't know if he has the money for it right now. I also don't think that it's a little difficult. I think they need to have some healing reduction somewhere if they want to deal with Paz. He has himself, you know, the second rank of World Ender, the Deathbringer stance. Doesn't have the Death stance just yet, but he will be healing up a lot in these team fights.
Arya had his recall cancelled twice now. Two kind of greedy backs has sort of tried to go back in the middle of the lane.
Look how deep they managed to push their vision. There's nothing on the whole side of the map for CGA.
It is pretty huge, and basically it's because Arya wants to back and get some items, get some actual wards out there. I've got loads of control wards in inventory to CGA. but Boogie is just hanging out in this bush full of all the ghost wards that are basically the zombie wards rather, from how many wards they've killed by the side of V3. They're going to come back in and get some vision control as the Ocean Drake is going to spawn in 30 odd seconds. Nap with a Yuumi on top of him is a pretty monstrous target to take down, and with Umbral Glaives and with saplings, they've got fairly good ways to check for vision and people in bushes.
And Arya, you were saying you wanted to see an Executioner's calling back for an extra Dirk, actually just
Makes
the
a lot of
extra...
sense too.
Yeah, if you land an arrow, or if you land 2 arrows onto Archer, he's effectively out of the fight, so he will need to try and avoid one of those. We see Syndra backing as well for an Oblivion Orb, very, very efficient double penetration build. Means that if he's hitting Gango or Arya, they are effectively hitting them for tree damage.
Nap has found his way into a bush to the side of that Drake, and that's a lot of damage onto Boogie. We saw this with Elise's just yesterday, setting up around objectives and poke from across walls, doing half of her health bar. Level advantages onto junglers these days do count for a lot when it comes to poke coming through.
Oh, GLP lands?
GLP does land, but it's onto Nap, and he doesn't take all that much damage right now.
Scatter the Week's used as well.
Now here comes the Nature's Embrace, and this looks like a great angle. Does find its way onto Archer, who gets devoured out the way, but it gives pressure and position to CJ to start up this Ocean Drake. Chains of Corruption does land on the pass, and he takes about half his health bar. Actually, CGA have done pretty well to contain themselves on this. They've got a Sentinel turret down as well.
Oh,
the last Embrace lands onto Nap, and there's a decent Dawning Shadow. Nap takes a fair amount of damage, but they get the dragon and will get out as well. Well played by CGA.
Oh my god, that Infernum turret was doing so much AoE damage across the team. I think between that and the poke landed from Arya, V3 didn't want to commit heavily to the fight, even though they had the death stance on Paz. I think another factor was that there were no flank wards for a TP for the Aatrox. That's how you want to try and disrupt this backline, because in a front-to-back team fight, a lot of these line skill shots in many of Aphelios' weapons, and of course the Varus as well, means that you can just blow up some of these weaker carries. Squishier carries. Not weak in any sense of the word.
And Varus is farming exceptionally well. He is over 10 CS a minute right now, and that is like beyond the gold standard we expect for pro players.
Yes, and you know what's beyond what we expect as well? This is 86 souls, 88 souls onto center as well. Has huge range, still not going to outrange the Varus, but if you're trying to kite away from someone like Yoshi or Nap, that range will become very, very useful.
Yeah, it is running that prestige Louis Vuitton skin, and it's feeling pretty prestigious, the number of souls that champion is having right now. Definitely at a scary point, has got herself to an Umbral Glaive and an Executioner's Calling. Will be doing a fair amount of work if she can get close enough and not get poked out. But for now, Boogie,
fishing.
Ace, yeah, definitely
has himself
fishing.
a Morello.
Nap?
I don't know if he was seen. I don't know if he was seen. Ace
is.
was, Boogie wasn't.
Boogie wasn't, but Yoshi is around the corner with Yuumi on top of him. And the fight for vision continues.
Gango might run into him.
He's going to walk straight into it. So he dies! Dead in an instant. The twisted advance goes onto a Krug. Nap uses the Nature's Embrace. Boogie continuing to chase. You're right, he wasn't spotted. Boogie found his way onto that Aphelios, and he just disappeared without getting a chance to use barrier or anything.
Absolutely huge. The blue trinket comes down just a second too. Yoshi's walking in.
Archer took all the health bar there. Arya takes a big amount. The Chains of Corruption do land. Yoshi does use the Subjugate, has to use the stopwatch. I believe that was just a bit of a taunt there from Paz.
Might have been there. It was actually the Chains of Corruption spreading across the team. Arya with a huge disengage ultimate from the Varus there. Boogie is once again fishing, but the sapling will spot them out. Yoshi now running forward. A lot of movement speed with that Yuumi on top.
Yeah, it does indeed. And Arya at least has got the lane wave clear, which is a pretty big deal. It's for stopping the waves from coming in too far. Aphelios a little bit sheepish for having walked into an Elise right there, but that is what this champion can do when she's ahead. Hide in a bush, cocoon you, and you just get blown up.
It does, and that is a death over to Gango, but he's still relatively happy. He hasn't completed his second item yet, but he has the Infinity Edge, and he has the Yuumi on top of him, which means if he does get to stand and fire, as we've talked about so many of these AD carries this series, he will be doing a lot of damage if he has access to the backline. Of course, we saw those turrets putting in so much work around that dragon, which puts them at 2 apiece on this Ocean Rift. We settled down a little bit now. 25 minutes in. There is a sizable gold lead to V3, but there's that last kill onto Gango. Might have got V3 some vision, but it didn't get them anything in the way of a game-ending objective or anything like that.
And they have painfully slow Baron take with the Senna. Syndra, again, not the best Baron champion. Aatrox, okay, at least with her Spider.
Elise is actually not awful.
Elise is pretty good.
When you're ahead in the game, actually, at this point, 4-0-1, level 12 at this lane, has 2-level advantage
They've
on
still got
Yoshi
ways
again.
to tank it between a Tahm Kenshin and Aatrox. They just won't take it all that fast.
Sure.
And that is potentially a big deal, especially when you are versus so much poke. The amount of time you're on there having to tank that up, assuming CGA are aware, is pretty difficult to deal with.
And that's a Grump taken away from Yoshi as well. That 2-level deficit probably going to stick around for a little while now. Actually, Nap going to dodge out in the Infernal Chain, so he's going to get away free from that one.
And he's at 2 items. That Maokai is very tanky. If he can find his way onto somebody to cause some pain, just in terms of straight CC, can do a lot.
Boogie.
It is going to be engaged on again. Nice forward step there to avoid the cocoon. Boogie not getting that one this time.
Not this time. Archer at level 11 here and has so much range from these souls. He's very close to his next upgrade, I think, as well. Just a bit of posturing there. Varus making his way down, but Syndra in top lane. I don't think V3 want to stick around here for too long.
Ocean Drake in 30 seconds, and that will be another point of contention, assuming CGA can once again wrestle some control. They managed it last time. They went through as a unit with the Yuumi on top of the Maokai, cleaned things up. Boogie landed a cocoon onto Nap, but that's not really the target to do anything to. Yeah, the Yuumi just heals it straight back
It's
up.
one shot or bust, and with an Ocean Soul, if that comes in for either team, will be very relevant as well in this game. Arya going to look for some poke here, walking up pretty close to Reyna.
That's a Yuumi, he's fine.
He has a Yuumi, but I was just wondering if any follow-up CC was going to land.
Boogie's in a bush, but there's also
These
some saplings.
These saplings have been worth their weight in gold. Stun just missing onto Arya there.
Yeah, and it is going to
Paz is
Paz
gonna
found
get
a good
his
flank.
backline.
He's going to find his way potentially onto Yoshi here. Look over the wall, gonna think about it as a stun there. They have no idea that Aatrox is there. Paz has done this time and time again.
Where's the go button? When are they gonna go? Big last embrace, but they're not going for it.
And he's on vision now, so that he just walked over a ward.
Okay.
Means the Ocean Drake is now started. Are they gonna give it up? Yes, they are. They're gonna try and trade for a mid lane turret instead of CGA.
I think they'll be able to get it. It's pretty low HP, and the flat pen of Varus does apply to turret armor as well. It will be going down, so it's a turret for soul 0.2
Good chunk onto Ace.
It is a good chunk as well. He might want to start recalling now. I'm not sure he had a chance to reset before this fight, so he's going to take the time to do it now.
Just shooting through that bush, making sure no one is there right now. CGA continue to shove this wave in, and they've gotten their first turret of the game, and it's a mid lane one, and that is quite important.
It is. Paz didn't manage to find the flank there. I think that if Paz isn't getting a flank, I don't know.
He's finding a flank, though. He gets onto Nap.
They have no Syndra. They have no Syndra.
They have no Syndra. It's a 4v5. Nature's Embrace comes down. Trade onto Paz. There's a Dawning Shadow that does a lot of healing.
Last chapter.
That's a decent bite onto Nap, but he's still alive. That's a massive Inferno, but the Yoshi is still shut down. Big poke damage from Arya at the end, but it's not enough. Gango trying to turn this around. Has to get devoured as Archer, who takes a big amount of damage. Archer is actually pretty much out of mana here.
He is at this point in time, so it's actually only a 1 for none. The arrow's being dodged out of here. I'd imagine if one of those lands, maybe we see a very different kind of team fight. 6 to none in kills, 5k gold lead. Boogie is fishing again.
He is, but but Gango's here, and Nap's going to pick up this honey fruit, make sure he's healthy enough. Going to walk into this Elise, jumps onto Nap, but he's finding lots of people. There's 3 people here with the Yuumi as well. Reyna is massively sped up with a Dead Man's Play. Does get exhausted, though, does Gango. Boogie is desperately low. Paz is continuing to chase forward. Nap goes forward again. This Maokai just...
Oh, he does!
Shut down from the downtown as Arya throws down a piercing arrow. And who kills the Maokai?
Well, I think in that kind of fight, when you're just a little too far out of the range of your carries, you're not going to be able to finish off that kill. Arya has the target accessibility with the long-range piercing arrow. They're going to maybe try and make advantage of this 4v5 they currently have.
They're going to try and turn onto the Baron. CGA smell an opportunity with the jungler dead for 20 seconds. They're going to force V3 to fight in a 4v5. See how it goes. Arya is here. Ace is here. But that's a lot of damage onto Reyna, who has to flash over the pillar. That's a Nature's Embrace onto Ace, who has to cleanse away from stuff. The prowling projectile coming through as well. Nap being slowed down. GLP is here as well. Nap taking damage. Maybe I spoke too soon. That's a lot of healing. Grendel came off. Goes in away. Yuumi gets shut down because she gets interrupted. Double kill onto Aphelios, and now this looks like a Baron for V3.
He's still going
with the World Ender. Gets onto Trundle. Arya is here. Does nothing at all with that arrow.
Does nothing at the end of it, so bringing down things. Actually, Paz is still hunting.
Oh, man.
This space.
5-level advantage onto the Trundle. He's still
trying to recall. Oh, Yoshi.
Oh, this is miserable. He's just going to sit there and take it.
Oh, that's so sad. There was no flash, no way out. He stopped a recall, but it wasn't enough. 0-3 and 0. The one kill, that one extended fight leading to the death onto Boogie. This has been somewhat of a cleaner game than the last game from V3. They're going to look to try and shut out this game with this first Baron of the game.
I think... Yeah, and of course, Ocean Drake will be spawning in 2 minutes.
That'll be during the Baron buff, so they'll have a chance to push up the side lanes, get some priority, get the vision, which has been so important in this game, and try and seal themselves the Ocean Soul, or maybe something before that.
Boogie gets shut down here, and it's so important.
So he gets actually a lot of damage onto the Maokai, but then the combined healing, even with the Morellonomicon, does get about an extra third of his HP back. They actually exhaust the Tom Cones to stop him running forward, flash away from the Maokai. Boogie at this point should really just back off. He's trying to look for the extra bit of CC, doesn't see the piercing arrow coming through the wall, and it takes his life.
It does, and then we go on. We think they've got the advantage with the 4v5. CJ feeling confident, but look at Grendel in this fight. Gets caught mid-rotation with his W and dies as they go in on this.
So there was a Scout of the Week there, which didn't hit him. I want to see what removes him there. It's going to be just coming up in the next couple of seconds. Double blue trinket. The GLP lands. It's a Q from the Darkened Blade, and he's caught by the second cast as the Twisted Advance comes through. Actually, maybe a bit of miscommunication there.
Blade was huge. They were going to try and advance onto that, and that was... I won't say it was planned, because I don't think it was, but it was just such a sad moment, because that was CGA feeling they had an opportunity, and V3 really punished.
Oh, Chains of Corruption go wide from Ario once again. Actually, Paz, Umbral dashing out of the way. They're still trying to maybe do something there.
Yeah, do a fair amount of... Well, I was going to say a fair amount of poke damage. Didn't actually do all that much, because Paz is really tanky with a Randuin's Omen right now.
I'm pretty sure that's a 100 soul plus Archer there as well now. He has got such a long range with that rapid fire cannon.
Just does disgusting amounts of damage. Continue even
122 souls.
Wow, at 32 minutes. I suppose
Look
that's
at
not
that
an entire
range.
surprise. He's got to be outranging turrets at this point.
He's getting pretty close to it, especially with the rapid fire cannon. He definitely will be. And what we're talking about at this point in the game is bringing back to this point of forced and unforced errors. We saw that Yuumi unfortunate mishap in that last team fight. We're seeing some of these skill shots hit and miss. All of it is about
going in. Now it's going to go in. They're onto Reyna. He's got no flash, remember, anymore. He's got the thick skin and burns it. He's about half HP. That's a decent Moonlight Vigil, but doesn't do all that much. Chakrams are now out. Nap is massive. He tanks Archer. Is doing all that. Actually, Gango, who's got damage as well. That's the last chapter on the pace. He's taking a lot of damage. The Chakrams are coming through, and Gango is online. Reyna gets skipped by another pillar from Yoshi, who's had some really good ones over the course of the series. The Sentinel turret is down. That's not quite enough of an arrow. Arya is in behind. Nap's in behind. And Reyna now in trouble, but they've rooted this Maokai. He's got a Twisted Advance to turn it around. He flashes over the wall, and he gets a kill. So is the Maokai, and so are CGA's hope in this game. They tried. It was a valiant effort at the end, but the Abyssal Voyage comes in, and oh, so close is a reverse sweep for V3 right now. They're going to be coming in to try and end this game.
At what point do we start talking about the mental effects of these fights going the way of V3 after the whole series? Arya's still fun hunting.
He's got a Yuumi on top of him. Maybe we spoke too soon. I thought they were going to try and end it. Can't land that last arrow. Reyna stepping forward, trying to get slows onto Arya. There is heals here. And Arya, rather, on an Archer, does not hit that last piercing arrow.
Going back to that
the
point.
Ocean Soul.
The Ocean Soul is the extra benefit here for V3. The extended fight buys enough space, enough time, and enough pressure for V3 to maybe gain the objective, which will bring this to a reverse sweep possibility. Game 5. CGA going to have to really buckle down deep here and try and hold on for dear life against a 10,000 gold left deficit. A scaling Senna, so much damage also, and so much tank and staying power from the Tahm Kench and the Aatrox in these fights. You can see there's just, even though Paz is locked up in place, getting hit by the Calibrum turret, just the ability to reset with the Devour multiple times a fight at level 13 with that ability maxed out just means that these fights are so hard to close out from
killing
CGA.
people.
Absolutely are. The death stance coming in huge here for Paz as well. Manages to regen up throughout this. And just look at Boogie blow up.
What
the poor
a clean flank from Boogie.
So clean. And we talked about this guy being able to team fight, being able to blow people up. That's the second time he's found out Gango on his own and kind of taken matters into his own spidery hands.
I mean, if Gango had been alive to get some damage onto the rest of his teams, I could see CCJ turning around and pick up an Ocean Drake for themselves. That might have been the turnaround, but right now, V3 exceptionally far ahead, and this time Tahm Kench. Says, yeah, what are you going to do? Nature's Embrace comes out. It is the flash route. They've got a final chapter as well. They're going to try and kill off Reina, but there's a Dawning Shadow. He's flashing. He does finally go down, and that's a big deal. Infernum is up. Boogie takes damage as well. Nap's here, but they're turning around onto Yoshi, who has to flash away himself. Paz going across the wall, but Gango is being healed up by Yoshi. Boogie taking a lot low. Nap twisted advance away. Prowling projectiles come out. They do get a kill, but the Ocean Soul is keeping people alive and topped up for V3.
It is so. I think that Reina might have used the thick skin a bit too early there. Only gets minimal usage out of that grey skin, extra HP. That's a kill. It's a 1 for none. It does stall some of the pressure which V3 had been building up to. They don't have the Baron buff that will be coming up in the next minute. That's the next big thing to come up to. We'll see if they can repeat that pick success.
They're going to have to do it many, many more times. And the deck is stacked against them. The tides are rising. But Gango is at a fairly strong point with his items. He's got 3 crit items, and he's on his way to another BF sword item.
He is, and that's the point where you can play around this AD carry. With the Yuumi on top of him, with the extra HP, well, the extra healing, having the Mikhails as well, so he doesn't even have to build himself his own QSS. That is afforded for by Grendel's Yuumi. Maybe he can buy enough space to stack up that Conqueror and maybe cut through the Reina and the front line and maybe gets the back line in these next couple of fights.
We saw what those Chakrams were doing in that base fight. If he gets to stay alive versus a Syndra that's nearly at death cap, and an Elise who is basically singling him out every time they can.
It's huge.
It is pretty massive. And of course, there is this Senna who has pretty much all the souls. Charon would be feeling a little bit jealous about this particular fairy girl, as she is siphoning souls all around and about to try and redeem them all.
Tau goes down in the bot side, actually, as a kind of a recompense for trying to head towards this Baron and not taking care of the minion wave, but they can't allow this Baron to fall. If the Baron falls, I'm pretty sure the game goes with it.
Yeah, they do. Boogie taking some damage. Gango and the rest of CJ over on the back. The turrets are coming over. The poke not landing at the minute, but they're going to continue throwing as much stuff as they can. Yoshi's around the corner. But remember, he has
Boogie took a lot of damage.
He did take a lot of damage. Nap has been locked down, but Nature's Embrace is down and locks people down in return. Ace avoids that piercing arrow by about a centimeter. And they are going to back away, but the Ocean Soul means Boogie's back up to 30 max health. Is doing a lot of work, and that's another last chapter now going on to Paz, who's root in place, but he gets healing back up, and remember, this Ocean Soul is meaning that a lot of this poke is being healed back fairly swiftly, but Baron repelled by CGA for now. Inhibitor under threat, though.
The weapon choices from Gango and the Calibrum and the Crescendo mean that the turrets and the extra range and all these crit autos coming through do stave off the Baron attempt from V3. They're not able to damage champions to get themselves onto that Ocean Soul and make that activate for the extra health regen. Archer's going to actually start up the Baron here, but we said earlier into this game, Senna is not a Baron-taking champion of any great speed.
HP bar trying to do that as well, so I think she's going to be forced to reset, which is not fantastic for them.
No, it is not. They do have V3, the second rank of Abyssal Voyage on the Tahm Kench, that ultimate there. Maybe to try and make some kind of macro play, get an opening in this game. But honestly, I feel like, again, it comes down to an Aatrox flank. If they can secure some wards behind the team of CGA and fight with Paz at the back in their team, rather than at the front trying to survive through the last chapter in the Chains of Corruption.
2-man start on the Baron.
Syndra actually does take Baron pretty okay. She does have a lot of consistent damage. And, of course, there's a Liandry's on the Elise now as well. They're actually going to take this.
Yoshi's coming around the corner. It's not the fastest, but it's about half HP. Yoshi should be there in time.
Should be there in time. 2-level disadvantage. He's not got the ward in now. They see it now.
He doesn't have a way. There's no blast plan. He went the wrong way.
He has no flash. He can't get into the pit. He's not in range to do
anything. Big Inferno, though. That does a lot of damage.
Oh my god, that was close.
They've got to find a man that passes in the backline, but he's all by himself. Has to umbral dash his way over the wall, but the Baron is secured. Elder Drake will be up in 30 seconds as well, and you've got to imagine that will be a big contention point.
So, the umbral
last. That is a huge chain of corruption. Pass having a flash whip, but he's still rooted in place. Taking all the damage, dashes away again. Such a low cooldown this late into the game.
It is. At least Paz will have the Baron recall to make sure he is out on the map. He uses his flash, uses the World Ender, but the Chains of Corruption being down are arguably even more important.
Archer doing a big amount of HP damage, but there's an Ocean Soul. There's a piercing darkness there to keep himself topped up. Boogie takes another arrow. for his trouble, and Gango is here with as much damage as he can possibly put out.
God.
He does do a lot of work, and if he can get some burst down and stay alive, that Ocean Soul won't have time to
They're
react.
actually going to go
They're just
straight
going
onto this.
They're calling V3 out. This
Paz
is going
has
to be
a
the final
flank.
stand. Archer takes all of the HP bar damage. Aria's got to be careful. Paz is going to be trying to find a flank. Ace is there. Aria's trying to get going. He's got the cleanse. He's going to get out. Gets over. Boogie can't get on top of him. Look at Yoshi. He's going down. He does finally down. Boogie cleanses up, and it's already a 1-0. Gango's trying to put out damage, but Reina is such a monster. The cocoon is cleansed away from. Nap goes down as well. It's a double kill for this Elise, and the fight has gone wrong. Aria's running away, but he's got nothing left in the tank. CGA have nothing left in the tank, and it will be Silver Scrape. Somebody get that jukebox queued up.
Gango is still alive
think
with
he's
the
enough?
Yumi. Well, he has 4 items, picked up the Bloodthirster, and
gonna
has
have
the
to
Yumi
hope.
on his shoulders. He's going to have to 1v5, well, 2v5 with a card on his shoulder. We'll see if he can work a miracle.
Holding that play, but it's going to have to be that. There's going to be a lot of damage. The piercing darkness is just massive. Hit the play button. The pause is over. Silver Scrape is going right back up, and Grendel is slapped back into the earth by a shadow in the full livery of Louis Vuitton.
It is indeed. We have ourselves the 2-2 series in this round 2 match 2. All of the 2s available. We have Silver Scrapes. Mass Swan, what do you think of that?
Well, that wasn't the cleanest end to that start. That was looking very dominant. I was hoping for maybe a perfect game in this series. V3 have been one of the teams to give us a perfect game. Looked good to start with. Then they gave a kill over. Then they gave a turret over and a dragon. I was like, but okay, this is a V3 that has now turned on versus a Crest Gaming Act that has turned on, and now this is getting very scary for both members. Problem is, it does feel a little bit like Aria versus the world. I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think Aria and Gango did a damn fine job of
Gango
making their way back
as
into
well,
the
yeah.
game. Gango on that Aphelios did scale up to the point. Those Trisendum turrets were just chunking out damage. They were chunking out people left, right, and center. I think Ario had some very pinpoint skill shots onto Archer as well to make sure he was chunked out before a fight. I wonder now if, well, I think that CJ have to ban one of the Aatrox or the Syndra. I think that the Rek'Sai was not the problem. I think that Boogie had a pretty fine game that game as well. I think that the solo lanes for V3 are the ones which have had the biggest turnaround between the 2 wins and the 2 losses.
And I kind of have to say that there was something about the scoreboard, despite, no towers, the dragons being very much in V3's favor, the kills being very much in their favor. CGA were finding poke and stuff that made it feel like maybe they had ways back in. But even so, it was that thing where Ace looks so much better on a Syndra, Paz looks so much better on an Aatrox, and Boogie's got enough of a champion pool that it's difficult to ban him out. So I have to agree with you. I think you've got to focus more on that. I liked the Maokai in this game. I thought as the game got later, he was doing quite a lot to get CC down, and the Nature's Embrace was like finding some options. It was just too far behind.
And I think the Yumi ended up working very well versus Archer. We actually have the stream still running in the background, by the way, if you want to talk about the replays and stuff. They just replayed that huge fight just around the Baron, which ended up in, 4 kills or something, and the huge flash forward from Ace, where Grendel unfortunately got caught up by the Darkened Blade, and I kind of harped on a little bit about forced and unforced errors. I think that one was a little difficult for him.
Yeah.
I mean, this was definitely just a game where it felt like from the very start to towards the very end, while CJ had moments of glimmers even of hope, it very much felt like V3 had the momentum and the decision making throughout a lot of this, especially Boogie on his Elise.
When it got towards the very late game and you had this Aphelios with a Yumi backed up, I saw the way into the game for CJ. There could always be a perfect
But
team
V3
fight
weren't giving them that.
No,
it was close at points. There was that first pick.
I don't know. That last team fight looked very just one-sided.
It did. But then every time an arrow landed onto Archer, I'm like, what happens if another one lands? What happens then?
Ocean Soul comes in.
Put it this way: as much as the game ended with a 18-3 scoreline in terms of kills,
something like that.
That's not indicative of the game. I don't think there were a lot of somewhat close, cagey fights.
Yeah.
It was always V3 in the advantage in terms of gold, but sometimes it didn't always feel like it because of the poke coming out from Arya and the consistent damage coming out from Gango.
The poke wasn't being converted, and that was the problem. And there was also that one fight around Baron when they did find that pick onto Boogie, where there was that lucky. I think it probably is lucky. Darkin Blade that caught out Grendel as he was transferring onto the Maokai, and that was potentially CJ's big opportunity to get back into the game. I just don't think it ended up working out in the end.
It really didn't for them, and we're going to have another break as we've got our 5th and final match. Wow, these teams really want us to wake up early and go for the full 5, because, I mean, why not? Why not? So we're going to go on a short break. We'll be back for the penultimate game in Silver Scrapes for V3 Esports facing off against Crest Gaming Act. Thank you so much for watching.